Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for a chance to present here. So I have a few slides here to support what I'm going to explain. So my name is Arnaud Taddei, as said, and I'm Technical Director, Standards and Architecture at Broadcom, but as well, I hold a number of leadership positions in the IT. And this is where I could get a sense of dealing with multi-stakeholders environments, especially with the administrations, especially from developing and developed world. But the other thing I learned through the ITUT in my short 3 years in standardization strategy and security standardization is that actually the big discoveries we made is that operational security has been forgotten nearly completely across the board. So it's interesting in a say because it echoes a lot what Marina has explained about the gap between the intention and the implementation. And I really concur with what she said here as well as others as we see. So from this, yes, I learned a few things from the previous speakers, and basically there are a number of things that you guys are working on right now on certification and labeling implementation, on the next steps for cybersecurity, and you are basically, if I understand correctly, in a strategic thinking. So what are the priorities is the question. So there are two pieces here that I would like to bring at this stage of the conversation. On one side, this is the problem of the attack landscape. So I've seen over the past 13 years, every day I receive the top 7 attacks of the day. And it has not decreased, it has increased and increased. And I think the COVID-19 has clearly accelerated the level of attack. And it's not just quantitative, it's qualitative as well, from fake news to ransomware to targeted attacks, or from national cyber weaponry and so on. So when we looked at why we are in this situation on operational security that is basically missing completely from any code of law, and this explains why we have no articulation between the text and the implementation. And when you look at the difficult root cause analysis, the entry point is a lack of professionalization. So here, in fact, we are not wise enough. We should take the time to reflect on how other fields are actually treating the problem. And one really interesting example is how Italy had to deploy an hospital in 30 hours. If we would have a big attack like WannaCry, which we managed to deal with at the time, if something new would happen, would we be able to deal with it? Probably not. So the issue we have actually is in the future is the problem of the explosion of the attack surface. So I'm going to give one example, just one. It's a bit technical, but I hope you can follow. So I considered 5G here, and 5G is actually not a choice for the sustainability of our future society. So 5G, as we know, has 3 pieces. One is to broadband, the other one is the IoT, and the last one is the industry for low latency and high resiliency. These are 3 business big areas. So if I just take IoT for the moment, let's make the maths for a second. So if I take a city of 10 million people, in the future, we can be sure that everyone will have 100 devices by user, and that means 1 billion devices per big city. Okay, great. But because the people who are selling those are not really interested to sell it, they are really interested by the data they will get. That means that these devices will connect to an IoT platform that will get all the AI machine learning for the data spaces of the future. So to do that, 5G has one promise, which is called the network slice. This network slice is basically to say, I'm going to give you one specific slice of the network that will be only for you, for this device, to go through the entire infrastructure. And to do that, you need a set of Lego bricks to chain the value that you are going to give from one device to go to the other side of the platform. Now, if you continue to make the math, I mean, how many Lego bricks do you need in the cloud to make this work? Is it 500, 1,000? So even if these numbers are wrong, that means that we need to power this with a cloud of a magnitude of 1 trillion Lego bricks for one city, for one use case, which is IoT. So to do that, you need virtualization, to have a specific mix between public and private clouds. For this, you need to get this powered by AI and machine learning, because humans cannot do that. You need operational security, which itself requires another AI machine learning, which itself requires security. So imagine the layers and layers and layers you need to build that. And each time you increase the layers, you change the architecture, and then you change the attack surface. So I've not even touched all the other problems of pervasive encryption and to heal security and privacy, finally, hopefully at some point. And the fact that on security by design, back to the point from Juhan, in fact, unfortunately, people understand, oh, I'm secure by design, so I'm secure. Well, guess what? Not. It's not because you are secure by design that you are secure, because this doctrine has pushed the industry to optimize the boxes and not to look at end-to-end security. So now we have no paradigm to actually protect that. So we have not only a professionalization issue, but we have a serious issue that we're going to have to fix in the future. So based on this example, what we see for Europe actually is we need to change the conditions for cybersecurity in Europe. And we have a blatant lack of maturity in terms of, as I said, professionalization. So if you would be in health, it's very codified in health how you build an hospital in the Sahara, in the desert of Sahara, or if you build an hospital in the district of Paris. You have everything is codified. But for us, nothing is codified. We have no way to actually deploy anything correctly. So we need to look at that maturity problem and learn from other fields. As I said, we need to maintain economic drivers and allow market to grow. So to do that, we believe in a better balance between regulation and market dynamics and skills. And we see 6 areas. So one is revise NIS, absolutely. We need much better work on the operational security side, more on professionalization and represent correctly the role of the CISO. Reportable events. Again, we need a clear legal basis for cybersecurity operations and what can trigger reportable events. Certification/labeling, I think Miguel covered that very well. Of course, we believe in labeling and in market education. The joint cyber unit, yeah, it's okay, but on which security service catalog is this joint cyber unit going to be built? That's a real key issue that actually we have started to codify that in the ITU for the first time ever globally. Consistency, we're going to have a plethora of initiatives on AI, data spaces, DSA, but how are we going to interact with GDPR? And back to the important point on sharing data that has been mentioned earlier, how are we going to help organizations to determine sharing data and how they can actually innovate with sharing data? And finally, on digital sovereignty, it's an ambitious project for Europe, and we believe Europe has a good reason to do that and to develop its future capabilities, but we need to build on global international partners. So in all of that, timing is of essence. We think that we have an arms race here and the path is narrow. It's achievable, but we need, as some others spoke before, we need a solid coordination and collaboration with really the intention to take that bull by the horns to actually fix it finally. So I hope this short feedback has given some inputs to the debate of today. Thank you very much.